What's going on, moviegoers? If you're new to the channel, my name is Christian. Welcome to Zero Productions. Boy, do we have some hot scoops we have to talk about, you guys. Daniel RPK, very reliable inside scooper, has been dropping some heat lately, and I cannot wait to talk about some of these scoops. It's genuinely exciting, you guys, especially for the future of Spider-Man. Let's talk about the meat and the potatoes of the video. So, apparently, this is coming from Daniel RPK. Sony plans to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in their own universe as key players, as their own multiverse storyline separate from the MCU, which is very interesting to me because I know Sony was pushing for another massive multiverse storyline for Spider-Man 4 with Tom Holland. But, Kevin Feige and Tom Holland want something much smaller and more grounded. But if you're going to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, I think bringing them back in their own universes for a potential Spider-Man 4 and the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is more of a efficient idea because the MCU seems very crowded right now. And I'm not saying that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield won't possibly show up in Avengers Secret Wars, because more than likely they will. It's a massive incursion with the multiverse storyline. It's bound to happen yet again. Tobey Maguire is rumored to be a lead for Avengers Secret Wars alongside Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, something us fans always wanted these characters to interact. So how exciting is that? But for a multiverse storyline, for Spider-Man 4 and The Amazing Spider-Man 3, I wouldn't even be mad if it wasn't a multiverse storyline. I still want a grounded Amazing Spider-Man 3. I still want Sam Raimi to do a Spider-Man 4 to his own true vision without Sony interfering. I do have my concerns. I'm going to be honest with you. I have my concerns because of Sony and their reputation. Madam Web, Morbius, the Venom movies. They're not on a hot track right now. The animation, yeah, they're on hot. They're on gold. But their live action stuff is kind of iffy. Now, if I'm Sam Raimi and Sony is coming up to me and talking to me about potentially returning to direct Spider-Man 4, I'm going to be like, I need full creative control. You guys cannot interfere like you did with Spider-Man 3, forcing me to put the symbiote and Venom in the movie. Sony cannot interfere. And then that means you got to get a brand new director for The Amazing Spider-Man 3, unless you want to rehire Mark Webb for The Amazing Spider-Man 3, which I don't know if Sony's willing to do that. And to be honest with you, Mark Webb still has some of the most beautiful Spider-Man films, to date. So there's a lot to think about, and especially if they plan to do a multiverse storyline. But you have to think about the consequences to No Way Home, right? What did Peter say? He wanted everybody to forget he was Peter Parker in Spider-Man. So that means, his MJ, Zendaya doesn't know who he is, Ned, nobody does. Happy Hogan, nobody. Does that mean that's the same for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in their own universe? Can you imagine Tobey going back to his universe and MJ not knowing who he is, him completely being erased from history, and him potentially even having a daughter? That would be a grounded multiverse storyline. Because you can imagine the heartbreak that Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker would feel going back home, knowing that MJ no longer knows you, the love of your life, and a potential daughter that you might have. That I do think that if they were smart, they would introduce, this particular Peter Parker to have a daughter. That would be brilliant. I'm telling you, there's so much they can do with The Amazing Spider-Man 3. There's so much they can do with, Spider-Man 4, especially Spider-Man 4. That's the one that fans are craving right now. Spider-Man 4, directed by Sam Raimi. It would be a brilliant idea. I know Sam Raimi was rumored to be directing, the next two Avengers films, but I feel like, a Spider-Man is much more on, Sam Raimi's level. Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness was good, but it wasn't as good as the first film. I think Scott Derrickson directed the hell out of that first movie, and I prefer the first film more than the second movie. But it's exciting. I'm happy that Sony is considering this at least. You know what I mean? Because these are characters that people absolutely love. They just did a whole re-release of all the Spider-Man films, and the first three Spider-Man films, and The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, they still made money at the box office. So there is still that love and that yearning for, you know, those original Spider-Man films. But who knows what's going to happen, you guys. Hopefully Sony can get their shit together before anything happens. But moving on, you guys. So the direction for Avengers 5 has shifted towards a more standalone story, which is very, very interesting. A standalone story, but it still will be a contained multiverse storyline for Avengers 5. Now, Avengers 5 has a lot of issues. It was going to be the Kang dynasty, then the whole Jonathan Majors situation happened. You know, they're still looking to recast him right now. There are a couple of names out there up in the air, but, you know, apparently Colman, Domingo, what's his name? John David Washington, Giancarlo Esposito. If I'm Marvel Studios, I am doing all three actors. I'm having 3 different iterations of Kang, 3 different actors portraying Kang in the MCU moving forward. That's what I would do. I think that would be a brilliant idea, and fans would absolutely love it. Can you imagine that? 3 different actors playing Kang? That would be a brilliant idea. But Avengers 5 has a lot of heavyweight. We don't have the Avengers assemble right now. Who is a part of the Avengers? It hasn't been established. There's been no lead up or no build up. But I do believe with Captain America Brave New World, that will be the starting point to rebuilding the Avengers team, because it was rumored or talked about in the footage shown at was it CinemaCon, how, you know, Thunderbolt Ross was talking to, you know, Sam Wilson about him putting the team back together or putting a team together. So there's that possibility. And you have to establish your brand new Captain America if you want him to lead your Avengers. You have to establish him. And I'm really hoping with Brave New World, that's what it does. It establishes him as being Captain America so he can rebuild this team, you guys. It's important. So Avengers 5 is hard. You can't just jump into a multiverse story when you don't have your Avengers yet. You don't. Honestly, you don't have your Avengers yet. No, who's funding this Avengers team? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of issues right now that they didn't really think about. You know, introducing all these characters in Phase 4 and Phase 5 was a lot. I would have been starting to establish the little breadcrumbs of who's going to be a part of the brand new Avengers. It is going to be difficult moving forward, you guys. But apparently, Secret Wars, this is the big one, you guys. Secret Wars may be split into 2 films. 2 films, because obviously Secret Wars is a culmination of Marvel legacy. It is going to be a massive film. If you thought Avengers Endgame was big, boy, you don't know what's coming. Secret Wars is going to be ginormous. It's going to be huge. Potentially everybody you've ever seen play a Marvel character on either that be TV or, you know, live action is going to be in this movie. So having it being a 2-parter is a brilliant idea. Avengers 5 be your build-up, a more standalone story, grounded story, and then Avengers Secret Wars. I think they should do Avengers vs X-Men and then Secret Wars. That would be a brilliant idea. Can you imagine? Oh my God. I would go crazy to see Avengers vs X-Men film. I'm telling you guys, I think that's the route they should go. And then they come together by the end of the film, something happens, and then, you know, Secret Wars, the massive incursion, you know what I mean? I think it is a brilliant idea. But like I said, you have to establish your core Avengers. You have to give the fans a reason to care right now. Honestly, fans don't really care who's a part of the Avengers right now. You know, there's no love. There's no like, oh, you know, I want to see this character interact. Like, you have to establish relationships, communication. You have to establish, you know, all the disapprovals between these characters. It has to be a conflict of interest. You know, you could even potentially do a Civil War Part 2 with Sam Wilson, Captain America, and, you know, Brie Larson's Captain Marvel. That's a possibility as well. You have to rebuild the team and these relationships. It is important, you guys. And some people even theorize, well, you know, Avengers 5 should have been freaking, Secret Wars. Not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion. And I do agree, because we all agree Secret Invasion was dog crap. The worst MCU project I've ever seen in my life. And I will never forgive them for what they did to my boy Rhodey. That shit is not cool with me. That's not canon. I don't believe it, because it takes away everything Rhodey had did in the last couple of films leading up to Avengers Endgame. You know what I mean? It ruins his whole moment with Tony when he's dying. It's just his whole moment with, you know, Sam and the Falcon and Winter Soldier talking about the shield. It just ruins so much. So I'm hoping they uncanonize that shit real quick, you guys, because it's killing me. And then apparently Franklin Richards, you guys, will don the Fantastic Four style costume featuring the number 5. Franklin Richards is Reed Richards and Susan Storm's son. So they are going to be establishing their kids in this first film, which honestly is a stretch. Why would you? I mean, look, I know that they want to be different from the original films. They got to, swing and do something big out of the park. And dude, honestly, he's an extremely powerful character, like really powerful. Like he has these reality warping powers. He even used his powers and gave up and depleted some of his powers to end the incursions and the multiverse war. So that's where I can potentially see them using this character moving forward. It's a possibility. I mean, it's not going to be page for page from the comic book, but it can be a fair enough adaptation of what has been already established in the comic books to the live action, to the big screen. Nothing's ever page for page. It's not. It's a different adaptation. They have to tweak things, and I'm completely fine with that. But all in all, I'm excited for the Fantastic Four. They start shooting in a month, you guys, and I can't wait. Oh, it's going to be so exciting. Marvel's first family is headed our way, and it's pump. And I cannot wait, you guys. All right, and the final topic, you guys, Vision. Apparently, Vision, Paul Bettany, will be returning for his own Disney Plus series that will be releasing next year. So that means the script is done. They've got directors. They already have a showrunner. What's his name? Terry Matalas. He was a showrunner on Star Trek Picard, which I'm not a Star Trek person, so if we're in good hands, please let me know. But apparently he's going to be the showrunner for this Vision show, and Paul Bettany will be returning. Now, we're going to be dealing with the White Vision. It's been years since we've seen him, and when he flew off at the end of WandaVision. So he's going to be trying to find his new purpose, his new life, you guys, moving forward, which is interesting to me. There's some things you can do. There's some things you can establish with this character. Wanda Maximoff, Billy and Tommy. He does now have Vision's memories, because I don't know if you guys remember, Vision gave him all of his memories. So he does have everything that Vision had ever went through, even his own death by Thanos. So I'm curious to know if they're going to play into that, and, if he's going to be searching for Wanda, because that's a big part, like to have Vision and not have Wanda and his kids. Like, I'm curious to see how they're going to establish that, because that was so interesting. I loved WandaVision. I loved the whole, storyline between their love and, their sacrifices and all their heartfelt moments and all the trauma that they went through and their kids. I thought WandaVision was extremely, extremely well handled. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm down to see Paul Bettany. I love the character of Vision. I'll never forget losing my mind when I saw him at the end of the trailer of, Age of Ultron. That was so exciting. Paul Bettany just plays this character so well as an android. I'm looking forward to this Vision show, but to release in 2026, I feel like is a stretch. That means come next year, you're going to have a shit ton of movies and TV shows coming out. Marvel Studios and, Bob Iger and Disney were just talking about having, content overload. That's a lot. You throw in Ironheart, you throw in, your Wanda, your Vision show. I'm pretty sure there's something else that comes out in all 4 of your movies. It's a lot coming out next year. So I do think that, it's a possibility that, this particular Vision show, Vision Quest, could be pushed into 2026 latest. But I'd be down to see the, White Vision return. I want to see White Vision. He was cool. I love the character design, and I want to see him a part of the Avengers again, because like I said, I love me some Vision, you guys, and bring back Paul Bettany. But post your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about these hot exclusive inside topics, you guys. Inside scoops from Daniel RPK. Thoughts and opinions, you guys. Post them down below and let me know. And of course, thank you guys for taking time out of your day for watching Zero Productions. Peace.